All right, there we go. Okay, hopefully everyone can see that. I'll just move my camera, there we go. All right, so welcome everyone to the Time Management 101. So we're just going to be going over a few sort of tips and tricks for managing your time better as a student. And yeah, just sort of sharing with each other what you've found works really well for you, what you might be struggling with. Yeah, I really value the discussion that we can have together and the opportunity to learn from each other. So with that, we will kick off. So we're just going to start with a bit of a karakia, and feel free to join in. Tuia ki runga, tuia ki raro, tuia ki roto, tuia ki waho, tuia te here tangata, tuturi o whiti, whakamoia kia tina, tina, umie, uie, taikie. Okay, so we're just going to start off with a bit of an opportunity to tell a little bit about why you feel time management is important. So either feel free to unmute yourself, or in the chat box, please type why you feel that it's important. So I'll just give you a few moments to do that.
Time management really helps with alleviating stress so that you don't have a whole lot to do right at the end.
Absolutely, Michelle. Yeah, that's really important. And I think as students, it's all too easy to leave things to the last minute, isn't it? So it's really valuable when we can manage our time effectively so that we can meet those deadlines in a way that's not so stressful for us. I find it important as it gives me a buffer. Yeah, absolutely. That's a really important point, Kelly. Yeah, getting things done within a good amount of time. Yeah, absolutely, Olivia. Yeah. Yeah, prioritizing for deadlines, definitely. And making the most out of time and ensuring you have a good balance. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it can definitely lead into the other areas of our well-being, looking at it more holistically, because if we don't manage our time well, it can lead to a lot of stress and burnout. So yeah, those are really important points. I'm just going to make sure that everyone is admitted. Yeah, that is good. Okay, so how can we manage our time better? So yeah, I've got some GIFs on here, so hopefully they aren't too distracting for us. But I'm just going to just talk a little bit about the research on how we can manage our time a little bit more effectively. So time is a resource, right? It is something that we can value and take really seriously, or it can be something that we can waste. It can be used to help us grow, or to help us, or to alternatively hold us back. And it can determine the quality of our life. So I've got here a note on multitasking. So the research shows that actually only 2% of the world's population is able to multitask. And I know that we all think that we're in that 2% where we can do it. But really important to just to try and remember the importance of monotasking versus multitasking. And I know that multitasking is so tempting to do, right? We're trying to get through so many things at once, and we've got a lot of things to get through in our day as a student. But this links to the idea of us being present. If we can do one thing at a time, we get the best quality of output, and our efficiency and productivity increases if we're just focusing on that one thing at a time. And I know this won't be easy for some of us. We might get withdrawals when we try and do one thing at a time. But yeah, really important to take that on board. So I've got a note here on time blocking, and time blocking can be a really good skill in order to manage our time better. So it links quite closely in with scheduling. But what they mean by time blocking is essentially you're blocking out the times in your day where you think that you might be the most creative or the most logical. So you can't actually do both of those at the same time. And so it's essentially writing out a to-do list for a week and all of the stuff that we need to do. And for each task, it might be more of a logical thing, or another task might be more of a creative thing. And then we're plotting all of these items in our to-do list. And then we're working out approximately how long it might take to complete the task as well. Creating schedules are really important. So yeah, I often recommend to students that if you can purchase a diary or some sort of like wall planner, we do have those resources available, and I'll put them on my hub along with the recording and the slides of this workshop. But it can be really useful to schedule your time and using a calendar to plan ahead. So what I often recommend to students is color coding either like your course for the semester, or color coding like the thing that might be due. So for example, in highlighter color yellow, you might have the assignments that you either highlight in your diary, wall planner, or both. And then you can also put in like fixed commitments like your work shifts and hobbies that you might have on the go as well. Writing to-do lists can be really effective as well. So yeah, writing a to-do list, and if you're one of those people who like to tick things off, it can be really satisfying to either tick it or just put a line through it once you've completed the task. And there's a method that works quite well, and it's called the ABC method, to prioritize the tasks within a to-do list. So we're going to assign the task an A if it must be completed today. So if it's a highly urgent, highly important task, we might categorize that as being an A task. We can categorize a task in our to-do list as a B if it would be nice to finish today, or alternatively C, it can be pushed out to tomorrow if necessary. And I quite like doing that before I go to bed, for example, and then I can put it in my diary as I'm sort of working it through in my head, or first thing the next morning I can sort of carry it across to my diary or my wall planner or something if you haven't already done that. Noticing and dealing with procrastination, and I'm sure a lot of us as students can relate to that. And I know when I was a student, I you do procrastinate. It's really tempting to do that. And to be able to work through procrastination, it's a really good idea to ask yourself, like, why am I avoiding this task? Or why am I not doing this piece of work? Like, what are the barriers, or what are the things I'm facing that are making me want to put this work off? And at Massey, there are lots of support systems to help you through things like procrastination. And I'm sure that your lecturers and your tutors will be more than happy to work through it with you if it's like a task-related thing. Alternatively, we've got our counselling and wellbeing team who can also help you with these strategies as well. And also it can help revisiting your priorities when you feel like you want to procrastinate. So looking at sort of the broader picture here, I've actually got to do this assignment because it's going to mean that I'll have my degree, that I can graduate and I can be employed afterwards. So just kind of bring that bigger picture and perhaps doing some goal setting around those types of things as well. It might help you to sort of muster up that motivation to carry on. It can be really useful as well to create goals and then chunk those goals. So for example, you might have one big goal of, say for me, if I wanted to, eat, say, 5 different, oh no, I'll rephrase that. If by the end of the month, if I wanted to be eating 30 plant-based foods each week, for example. So within that, I would have, that's my big goal, okay? And then we've got 4 weekly targets that we're going to meet. So the target will be different for each week. So that first week, my target might be to just have 10 plant-based foods for the week. The next weekly target might be to sort of increase the I might focus on having more nuts and seeds in that second week. And the third week it might be, okay, I'm actually going to ramp it up to 20. Maybe a bit unrealistic here, but you get the process. Each week you have a different target. So this is called the 1-4-1 method. So we've got one big goal, 4 weekly targets, and then you have a daily task that is allocated in order to achieve that weekly target. So you therefore create a plan that makes the process so much simpler. It's not on this page, but joining a study group can be a really good way to manage your time better as well, because it helps to keep you accountable. If we've got people that are relying upon us to study with, we're having a really good opportunity to network and support each other through that. And it also takes a bit of stress and pressure off, because we can share concerns that we might be having about the paper, or what are we finding difficult, and you're able to share notes and discuss those confusing topics as well. Habit stacking is really cool as well. And I know at the start we talked about multitasking not necessarily being a good thing, but habit stacking essentially is where you've got a habit that you'll do when you're on autopilot. So for example, unloading the dishwasher is something that we don't need to engage our conscious brain with. Like, we can do quite subconsciously. It's quite an easy kind of thing for us to be doing. So for example, when you might be unloading the dishwasher, you might use that as an opportunity to catch up with your flatmate, and that's sort of, in that sense, we're sort of killing 2 birds with 1 stone, but it's not those logical or creative tasks that we're avoiding multitasking with. So it's thinking about the habits in your day that you could add a habit onto that doesn't take away what you're trying to do. Good sleep is really important as well. Good sleep, that leads to better choices with things like our nutrition, our exercise, our ability and capacity to connect with friends and whānau. So yeah, that can help us to increase our productivity and our efficiency through these day-to-day tasks. And also helps us to do the same amount of work in a shorter time period. So yeah, quite a few things there that I've harped on about. So we're just going to change slides now. And I'm really keen to hear from you guys in the chat, or you can unmute yourselves again. Why is taking regular breaks important when you're studying? Everyone's gone all quiet on me. Give you a little bit more time. Yeah, resetting the brain, absolutely. Yeah, reassessing that you're on the right track. Yeah, kind of brings you back to that perspective and those goals that you've set. Yep, coming back to fresh eyes. Yep, the perspective. Nice, Kelly. Yeah, Nicole. Yep, that's so true. So you're fully focused when you're studying and keep engaged. Yep, that's so true. And I think a part of that is like getting rid of those distractions, right? Like if you can put your phone in airplane mode, or I know there's some apps that monitor like your social media usage and things like that. Can be quite useful. Yeah, reducing stress by doing something mindful. Absolutely. Yeah. That's so true, Annie. Do you have anything that you use for your mindfulness or reducing stress? Awesome. Oh, yep, colouring in. Yeah, that's a really good one. Yeah, I think that's one that's definitely overlooked. Adult colouring in books are awesome. Yep, playing with the pets. Yep, looking at the garden. Yep, awesome. That's so good. Okay, let's keep on going on it. One more in the chat. Oh yeah, setting your phone on focus mode. Yeah, that's a really good idea. Yeah, and that temptation just automatically blocked out, isn't it? Okay, and I've just got a little bit of a thing here. Oh, it's going to make me quite dizzy looking at that. But it's actually okay to experiment with these things. So we want to be able to stay committed to our decisions, but also have a degree of flexibility with these things. So I quite often say to students, it's about finding what works for you and just giving these things a go. So with some of the suggestions that I said earlier, it's just go back to the slide. Yeah, with the things we were talking about earlier, it can be really good to just try one or two at a time, and if they work, then that's great, but if not, there's lots of other strategies out there that you can try, and it's just finding what works for you. And say if you block out a certain period of time to focus on a particular assignment, but you know you're having quite a creative sort of brainwave for another assignment, then you know that might be worth putting that time and energy into that particular assignment, for example. Just check the chat here. Any apps? Oh yeah, yeah. So Forest, I haven't heard of that one. Is that sort of where you can put the distraction mode on, or off rather? Yeah, I can't remember the one I used to use when I was a student, but I'm sure there's apps out there that will help. Okay, just keep on going through. Yeah, you grow trees. Yeah, yeah. Nice. Okay, so we have whizzed through quite a lot of content in this time. So now I just want to take the opportunity for you guys to consider what might be your top time management tip that you have, or what is something that you want to start implementing today, just as we've been focusing on this topic, and you might be reflecting as well as to what you want to give a go. So I'll just give you a few moments to either unmute yourselves or type in the chat box.
My top time management tip is I write down a list for weekly tasks that need to be done. because I like chunking it out and I have all week, it's like, okay, and I can slowly tick them off as I go. And that way, if I don't finish anything that day, I don't feel too stressed because I know I've got, a week to work on it. I don't like daily task lists. I feel like it's too much pressure.
Yeah, that's awesome, Michelle. Yeah, that's so true. And I think, yeah, what you're describing gives you a bit of flexibility. Say if something really urgent was to come up in the day, then at least you've got the week to do those tasks. It does take the pressure off. That's a really good one.
My problem, I think, which I need to work on, is that I am not specific enough, and I don't break down my tasks a lot because I've got some neurological issues and that, so my executive function things are pretty slack. So I need to figure out successful ways to go, instead of going, oh, I've got 6 readings to do, help, panic kind of thing, to actually pull them back to more smaller achievable goals. And I need to work on figuring out strategies that are going to help me with that. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Annie. And I think you've definitely hit the nail on the head for yourself there in terms of making them small and therefore more achievable. And yeah, just giving yourself ample time to be able to complete those tasks, kind of thinking what is the maximum time this could potentially take me, and don't be afraid to allocate all of that time.
Yeah, because I think at the moment I need to figure out a written structure that's going to help me achieve that, because like you've said, I know what I have to do, but I need to figure out an actual workflow or way of tracking or recording or something to help me keep to those things which I decide in my head could be a good way of working it out, but I don't actually commit to physically doing that. So I guess my goal is to, I don't know, work on a actual planning schedule or something that's actually going to function for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think writing them down will be really helpful for you, Annie, because then you can get it off your mind, get it off your chest, you put it down somewhere, and you're able to you're able to go from there and see things more clearly for yourself. I quite like to use something called Mural, and I'm not sure if students have free access to that, but even if you use a Word document or a Excel spreadsheet, I'm being a bit basic here, but you might like to get quite creative with color coding all the tasks and how you order them and categorize them, and yeah, just really finding what works for you. Yeah, but no, they're really good points there, and we've got some points coming in the chat as well. Adult drawing, yeah, absolutely, that's a really good one. Yep, oh cool, you're learning from each other. I'm pleased to see that. That's great. And you guys are definitely more expert in this topic than what you think. Making sure you go for a walk. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's right. Giving yourself some you time. And that's actually something I'd written down, but I hadn't talked to you guys about, was thinking about one thing that you can do for yourself for the day, whether that's a workout or, having tea in the morning on your own. That's where the morning routine and the evening routine can be really beneficial in helping you with things like time management. Visuals, nice, Phoenix. That's really cool. I'm pleased you like the ABC method. That's so good. Corkboard, yeah, that's a really good idea. Nice. Yeah, and especially if you're like more of a visual person, like having photos or quotes or something that can help steer you on track. That's so cool. Okay, I'm conscious it is 27 past, so I'll keep going through. So I've just got a few slides to sort of finish off, and just want to highlight where you can get support if you are struggling with these sorts of things, and where some further supports might be. So we've got this link here is for My Hub, and I don't know if you guys would have heard of it or you use it, but we've got a wellbeing tab on there which has a whole lot of resources, videos, websites that you can look at, not just the time management, but probably more broader wellbeing resources. Got our student care team, and the best way to reach us is through that email address there. And if you ever have any like requests for workshops or something you're particularly struggling with, then that's a really good point of call, just to be able to talk to someone about it. Got our counselling service as well, and you can book an appointment through this link, as well as the student advocate team and the chaplaincy service as well. And we've also just launched a app called Talk Campus, which it's a really cool app that I think Massey's the first uni in New Zealand to actually download it, but it's essentially like a peer-to-peer networking community, and you're able to kind of hear what other students are finding challenging, or you can voice what's going on for you, and it's a really safe, confidential space. Only Massey students can access it because you need your email address to sign up. And there's clinicians available on there, like if they see anything quite just sort of troublesome or problematic, then there's support on there for students. And there's some wellbeing resources on the Talk Campus app as well. And then we've got some other resources, so you can text or call 1737 at any time for that support, as well as Healthline. And then I've just listed some websites that I often refer students to that can be quite useful. And the Smiling Mind is a really good mindfulness app, which might be a nice way to do something for yourself at the start of the end of each day. There's quite a few good meditations on there. And we've got our next session around stress and motivation next week. So if you haven't already signed up to that, please do. It will be recorded again if you can't make it. But yeah, I highly encourage you to come along and you can get amongst the chat and discussion. Yeah, so we'll just be looking at how we manage stress and touching into resilience and motivation as well. So we've got our Pick Me Up week next week. So there's some events on My Hub. I'm taking a yoga session online next week. We've got a careers workshop. We've got Monday mindfulness. So yeah, please check out the events tab on the on My Hub for all of that. But yeah, does anyone have any questions or any comments or anything that they want to share before we wrap up for the day? Thanks, Nicole. Just going to stop recording just while we're here. Oh, wrong screen. Okay, stop sharing and stop.